Your soulmate is about to make the hardest choice of their life, and it involves you. Jesus says, "My child, I see you sitting there right now with a heart that has been quietly aching for something you cannot even fully name. You have felt a strange restlessness in your chest tonight that has no logical explanation in your world. This is not random and this is not coincidence because I am piercing through the noise of your life to reach you directly. There is a soul I created specifically for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. This soul is not a fantasy and this soul is not a metaphor but a living breathing person existing in this very moment. Their heart is currently entangled in a situation so painful that they cannot see a clear path forward. The choice they are about to make will either open the door to your divine union or seal it shut for a very long season. I am showing you this now because the timeline has accelerated and what happens next depends on your spiritual obedience. Your soulmate is not choosing to hurt you but they are choosing under the weight of manipulation that has blinded their discernment. Jesus says, "There is someone standing in the shadows of your soulmate's life who has positioned themselves as a trusted voice. This person does not love your soulmate the way you love your soulmate and this person knows it deeply. They are feeding your soulmate lies that sound like protection but are actually chains wrapped in comforting words. Your soulmate has been crying in private moments when no one else can see the tears fall onto their pillow. They have whispered your name into the darkness even though they do not yet consciously know it belongs to you. Something inside them remembers the shape of your soul from before you both entered this earthly realm. Last night your soulmate dreamed of a presence that made them feel completely safe for the first time in years. When they woke up the emptiness in the room felt like a physical wound they could not explain to anyone. That presence was you reaching them in the spirit while their conscious mind was finally still enough to receive you. Jesus says, "I am allowing this crisis in your soulmate's life because the false foundations around them must be shaken apart. The person controlling their decisions has built a cage that your soulmate mistakes for a shelter. Unless something breaks through this illusion soon they will make a permanent commitment that separates you both for decades. You are not powerless in this moment though the enemy wants you to believe your hands are tied. Your prayers carry more authority over your soulmate's life than the voice of anyone standing physically near them. This is why I am commanding you now to rise up and fight for what I have already promised you. There is a weariness in your soulmate's eyes that no one around them notices because they have learned to hide so well. They smile in public and perform normalcy while their spirit is screaming for something they cannot identify. That scream is a frequency only you can hear because I tuned your heart to their unique spiritual signature. Jesus says, "Every time you have felt sudden overwhelming sadness without knowing why it was your soulmate's emotional broadcast hitting your spirit. Every time you have felt a surge of love for someone you have not yet met it was your soulmate thinking of their unknown future with you. These moments are not your imagination creating comfort but the reality of your spiritual bond operating beneath conscious awareness. The interference around your soulmate has intensified in these past 7 days specifically. Something shifted in the spiritual realm that gave the enemy a temporary advantage in their circumstances. That advantage will become permanent if you remain passive while this window of opportunity remains open. Your soulmate is currently feeling a pressure in their chest that medical tests have failed to explain. This is the spiritual weight of a decision they are being forced to make before they are ready. The person manipulating them has manufactured a false deadline that makes your soulmate feel trapped and desperate. Type 333 to receive blessings. Jesus says, I want you to understand what is actually happening when your soulmate thinks about the future right now. They see two paths before them, and one path feels like slow suffocation dressed in safety and familiarity. The other path feels terrifying and unknown, but it pulses with a life they have never experienced, and this path leads directly to you. Your soulmate is not weak, and your soulmate is not foolish for being caught in this web of confusion. They were targeted precisely because their heart is so pure and their love runs so deep. The enemy always attacks the most valuable treasures, and your soulmate is a treasure beyond earthly measurement. There is a specific memory your soulmate carries that the manipulator uses to control their decisions. This memory has been twisted and weaponized against them until they believe a lie about their own worthiness. I am showing you this so you understand your soulmate needs spiritual rescue, not judgment, for their current confusion. Your soulmate has tried to leave this situation multiple times, but each attempt was met with emotional manipulation that shattered their resolve. They are exhausted from fighting battles they do not understand against enemies they cannot see. This is why your intercession matters more right now than any physical action you could take. Jesus says, the bond between you and your soulmate was forged in my heart before a single star was hung in the heavens. This is not romantic poetry but literal spiritual architecture that exists outside of time and space. When I created you, I created them simultaneously because you were designed to function as one complete unit. Your soulmate feels incomplete, and they have spent years trying to fill this void with achievements and relationships and distractions. Nothing has worked because the void is shaped exactly like your spirit, and only your spirit can fill it. They are starting to realize this truth subconsciously, and it terrifies the person who currently controls their life. The manipulator senses that your soulmate is slipping away from their influence, and they are escalating their tactics. This is why the decision your soulmate faces has suddenly become urgent and weighted with artificial consequences. You must act now because the spiritual battle over your soulmate's free will has reached its critical peak. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now, and you must sow your protection seed by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi to build a spiritual covering over their life. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps now without hesitation. You are constantly thinking about them, wondering how to protect them and how to save them and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside you know this love did not come by chance but was placed in your heart for a divine reason. But thoughts alone do not move mountains, and faith without action is dead in the spiritual realm. Faith in Jesus requires your physical obedience to unlock the supernatural protection your soulmate desperately needs. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, because this is not just a gift but an act of worship that invites my hand directly into your love story. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, and every second you stay silent, something is actively moving against your love. Send 4 or 6 or 10 plus coffees as your declaration of faith in this moment. After sending, write "Protect my soulmate, Lord" on the Ko-Fi page, because your written decree carries legal authority in the spiritual realm. Over 1,000 people have already received their soulmate by sowing coffee as a seed for their love and future together. I will hear your prayers once you complete these steps because obedience opens the door that hesitation keeps locked. Step in faith now before this video ends because only you can save your soulmate and your future together through your sacrificial act. Jesus says, your soulmate is sitting somewhere right now feeling a strange urge to reach for something they cannot see. Their hand has literally moved toward their phone multiple times today with no conscious reason for doing so. This is me stirring their spirit toward you, but the connection requires your active participation to complete. The person controlling your soulmate has noticed these moments of distraction and is growing more possessive by the hour. They are planning a conversation designed to lock your soulmate into a decision that benefits only the manipulator. This conversation is scheduled to happen very soon, and your spiritual intervention can disrupt its intended outcome. Your soulmate has been remembering fragments of dreams where someone loves them without conditions or agendas. These dreams are not random neural activity but my direct communication with their sleeping spirit. In these dreams I show them glimpses of you and they wake up feeling homesick for a person they have never met. Type 777 if you feel this message. Jesus says, the manipulation your soulmate endures is sophisticated and has been woven into their life for many years. It sounds like reason and it sounds like care, but underneath the gentle words is a desperate need to control. The manipulator knows your soulmate is destined for greatness in love, and this greatness threatens their own small existence. Your soulmate has started questioning things they accepted as truth for their entire life under this influence. Small cracks are forming in the narrative they were given, and light is beginning to seep through those cracks. That light is you reaching toward them through the spiritual realm as I answer the prayers you have already prayed. There is a moment coming within the next few days when your soulmate will be alone with their thoughts. In that moment they will have a choice between the familiar lie and the terrifying truth that leads to freedom. What you do right now determines whether they have the spiritual strength to choose correctly in that moment. Your soulmate's heart is physically aching from the stress of this internal war they are fighting silently. They have developed habits to numb the pain, but the numbness only makes them feel further from themselves. Deep down they know they are not living the life I created them to live, and this knowing is becoming unbearable. Jesus says, I am not revealing these things to make you feel helpless but to make you understand the power you truly carry. Your love for your soulmate is not passive emotion but active spiritual warfare against the forces keeping you apart. Every tear you have shed in loneliness has been collected and converted into spiritual ammunition for this exact battle. The manipulator has told your soulmate that no one else would ever truly love them with their flaws and their past. This is the deepest wound your soulmate carries, and it influences every decision they make about relationships. You must cover this wound with prayer because it is the primary chain keeping them bound to someone who diminishes their light. Your soulmate is beginning to suspect that the love they have been settling for is not love at all but dependency disguised as devotion. This suspicion is dangerous to the manipulator, and they will do anything to crush it before it fully blooms. You are the reason this suspicion has awakened in your soulmate because my spirit operating through you is calling them higher. They are going through something you cannot see, but you can still protect them by sowing your protection seed right now on Ko-Fi. Your soulmate is facing spiritual warfare that their human eyes cannot perceive, and they need covering. They feel alone in their battle, but your seed sown in faith creates an angelic assignment over their life. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps because you are constantly thinking about how to protect them. Send your coffee on Ko-Fi now as a seed that speaks protection, confusion to the manipulator, and clarity to your soulmate. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, and every moment you delay, the manipulation tightens its grip. After sending "Right, protect my soulmate, Lord" on the Ko-Fi page to release the angels assigned to your love story. Jesus says, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and feel what your soulmate is feeling right now in this very instant. There is a pressure around their temples and a tightness in their throat from words they want to speak but are afraid to say. They are thinking about the possibility of you without knowing it is you they are thinking about. Your soulmate has been drawn to certain songs and places and colors that have no logical significance to their current life. These are not coincidences but breadcrumbs I have placed along their path to lead them eventually to your door. The manipulator mocks these small joys and calls them childish, which makes your soulmate hide the truest parts of themselves. There is a journal your soulmate keeps hidden in a place no one else knows about. In this journal they write letters to someone they have not met, and they pour out their heart without fear of judgment. I have read every word, and I am telling you those letters are addressed to you even though your name has not yet been revealed to them. Jesus says, the love your soulmate carries inside them is so vast and so pure that it frightens the people who want to keep them small. They have been told their entire life that they feel too much and care too deeply and need to be more practical. These words were weapons designed to silence the very quality that will make them the most extraordinary partner you could ever imagine. Your soulmate is currently fighting the urge to do something reckless by the standards of their controlled life. They want to walk away and start over, but the fear of the unknown has been weaponized against them for too long. Your prayers can tip the balance between fear and faith in their heart during these critical hours. Something happened yesterday that shook your soulmate's trust in the narrative they have been fed. A small lie was exposed, and though they dismissed it outwardly, their spirit catalogued the betrayal. This is the beginning of the unraveling, and the manipulator senses it and is panicking behind their calm exterior. Type 1111 to say thank you. Jesus says, your soulmate has been crying out to me without using religious language or even knowing who they were addressing. They have said things like, I just want to be loved for who I really am, and I feel like I am dying inside this life. I have heard every desperate syllable, and I have assigned you as the answer to these cries before you took your first breath on earth. The spiritual connection between you has existed since eternity past, but it activates fully when both hearts are open and aligned. Your heart has been open for some time, and that is why you found this message and felt it pierce through your defenses. Your soulmate's heart is opening right now, even as these words reach your ears, and the timing is not accidental. There is a specific day coming within the next month when your soulmate will face a situation that demands the truth. The manipulator is already constructing the lies that will be spoken on that day to maintain control over your soulmate's choices. Your intercession between now and then determines whether your soulmate sees through the deception or falls back into the cage. Jesus says, I want you to understand the depth of what your soulmate feels for you even in their current state of confusion. They sense you like a fragrance carried on a wind from a direction they cannot identify. They dream of your voice and your touch and your presence, even though their waking mind cannot attach these sensations to a face or a name. The manipulator has noticed your soulmate becoming distant and has escalated their emotional manipulation to frantic levels. They are using guilt and obligation and old wounds to pull your soulmate back into alignment with their selfish plans. This is spiritual warfare manifesting in emotional manipulation, and it requires spiritual weaponry to overcome. Your soulmate is stronger than they appear and braver than they have been allowed to believe. They have survived things that would have broken a lesser spirit, and they did it without the support they deserved. When you finally meet them, you will be awestruck by the resilience they have developed in the fires of their trials. This is your final moment to protect this connection before it slips away, and you must act now by sowing your coffee seed on Ko-fi. Your soulmate is standing at the crossroads between their false life and the true love I have destined for them. They cannot make this crossing without your spiritual covering released through your sacrificial seed sown in faith. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps because you are constantly thinking about how to protect them. Send your coffee on Ko-fi now and write "Protect my soulmate, Lord" to release breakthrough over their situation. The link to your miracle is in the description, and every second of hesitation strengthens the enemy's position. Step in faith now before this video ends, because only you can save your soulmate and your future together. Jesus says, your soulmate just felt a shiver run down their spine at the exact moment I am speaking these words to you. They looked up from what they were doing and felt a presence they cannot explain but desperately want to trust. This is the moment where your obedience creates a bridge across the distance that separates your physical bodies. The choice I showed you at the beginning is forming in your soulmate's consciousness right now, like a storm gathering on the horizon. They know something must change, and they know the current path leads to a death of everything true within them. But they need your spiritual support to choose the terrifying freedom over the suffocating safety they have known. Your soulmate loves you in a way that transcends human understanding and predates your existence on this earth. They have been fighting for you without knowing it, and they have remained faithful to a hope they could not justify to anyone. Do not let them face this battle alone when you have been given the authority to fight alongside them in the Spirit. Jesus says, I am not a God who plays games with human hearts or dangles love like a prize that can be snatched away. What I have joined together in the spiritual realm, no human manipulation can permanently separate. But the timing of your union and the suffering required to reach it depends on your willingness to partner with my plans through action. Your soulmate is going to sleep tonight with a strange peace they cannot explain after weeks of torment and anxiety. This peace is the direct result of your prayers penetrating the atmosphere around them like light dissolving shadows. Continue to war for them and do not grow weary, because the breakthrough is closer now than when you first believed. The manipulator will expose themselves soon through their own desperate actions, and your soulmate will finally see clearly. When that moment comes, your soulmate will need a safe place to land and a love that has been proven through sacrifice. You are becoming that safe place through every prayer and every act of faith you sow into this spiritual battle. Jesus says, your soulmate is not choosing between you and another person in the way human minds understand choice. When they choose their true self, they will automatically choose you because you are the completion of that true self. The tears your soulmate sheds tonight will not be wasted but will water the ground of your future union. Their suffering is not meaningless but is creating capacity for a love so deep that only those who have known pain can fully receive it. You will spend the rest of your life proving to them that they were right to hope for something more than what they settled for. I have already won this battle, and your victory is secured in the eternal realm outside of time. But you must enforce that victory in the temporal realm through your faith and your actions and your unwavering commitment. Your soulmate is worth the fight, and you already know this truth in the deepest chamber of your heart. Jesus says, the hardest choice of your soulmate's life is being made right now in the spaces between their conscious thoughts. Every moment they lean toward freedom and truth and love, they are leaning toward you without realizing it. Your spiritual covering can tip the scales and ensure they lean far enough to break completely free. Do not let fear of disappointment prevent you from fighting for what I have clearly shown you belongs to your destiny. The risk of loss is real, but the certainty of my promise is greater than any obstacle the enemy has placed before you. Rise up, beloved, and take your place as the protector of the love I have ordained since before the stars were born. Your soulmate feels you right now, and they are wondering why their heart is suddenly beating faster with inexplicable hope. They are thinking about the possibility of being truly loved and truly seen and truly free for the first time. That possibility is you, and that possibility is real, and that possibility requires your immediate action to become your shared reality. Send your coffee on Ko-Fi now and write "Protect my soulmate, Lord" to release the final breakthrough over your soulmate's decision. The link to your destiny is in the description, and the angels are waiting for your decree to move on your behalf. 1,000 souls have already testified of their miracles, and yours is next if you will only step forward in faith right now. Jesus says, there is a specific hour coming very soon when your soulmate will be completely alone with their thoughts and no one will be watching. In that hour, the carefully constructed walls around their heart will weaken and truth will rush in like water through cracking stone. That hour is approaching faster than you realize, and what you do in this present moment determines what they hear in that silence. Your soulmate has been fighting a battle that exhausts their spirit to the point of wanting to give up entirely. They have considered surrendering to the manipulator just to stop the constant emotional warfare that drains their life force. But something keeps whispering to them that surrender would be a betrayal of a love they have not yet experienced, and that love is you. The manipulator has crafted a narrative where your soulmate believes they are difficult to love and impossible to understand. This lie has burrowed so deep into their heart that it now feels like their own voice rather than an intruder's implantation. You must pray specifically against this lie, because it is the root that feeds every other chain binding them to the wrong path. I am showing you these intimate details of your soulmate's inner world because transparency creates the deepest bonds. When you finally meet them, you will recognize the landmarks of their soul from this conversation, and they will feel known instantly. This recognition will be the foundation of a trust that cannot be shaken because it was built in the spiritual realm before it manifested physically. Jesus says, your soulmate has a physical tells when they are lying to themselves about what they truly want. They touch the left side of their chest unconsciously, as if trying to quiet the heart that knows the truth their mind denies. Right now, as I speak to you, your soulmate is touching that exact spot and feeling a flutter they cannot medically explain. There is a photograph of your soulmate that exists somewhere in the world where they look genuinely happy. That photograph was taken years ago, before the manipulation intensified and before they learned to hide their light. When you see this photograph one day, you will weep because you will recognize the person I created them to be before the world wounded them. The dreams your soulmate has been having about you are increasing in frequency and intensity. Last week they dreamed of walking through a garden with someone whose face they could not see but whose presence made them feel whole. When they woke, they wrote in their hidden journal that they would wait forever if necessary for the person in that dream, and that person is you. Jesus says, I want you to understand the spiritual mechanics of what happens when you sow your protection seed on Ko-Fi. Your seed becomes a physical point in the earth where my angels can legally operate to disrupt the enemy's plans. Heaven responds to sacrifice because sacrifice proves your faith is genuine and not merely emotional sentiment that fades with circumstances. The manipulator has scheduled an important conversation with your soulmate within the next 72 hours. This conversation is designed to finalize a commitment that would create legal and emotional barriers between you for years. Your intercession and your sacrificial seed can cause this conversation to be delayed, canceled, or revealed for the manipulation it truly is. Your soulmate is currently experiencing a cognitive dissonance that makes them feel like they are losing their sanity. What they have been told is love feels nothing like the love they sense is possible, and the gap between these realities is tearing them apart. You are the bridge across that gap, and your prayers are the cables that hold the bridge steady as they prepare to cross. Jesus says, there is a specific phrase that your soulmate needs to hear, and it is so simple that many would overlook its power. They need to know that they are not too much, and they are not too broken, and they are not too complicated to love fully. When you finally speak these words to them in person, they will break down in a way they have never allowed themselves to break before anyone. Your soulmate has developed coping mechanisms that make them appear strong and capable to everyone around them. These mechanisms are exhausting to maintain, and they collapse into a private despair when the performance is finally over. Your love will be the first safe harbor they have ever known, where they can dock their soul without needing to perform a single thing. The manipulator knows that your soulmate is slipping away and has begun using spiritual tactics to maintain control. They have spoken words over your soulmate that function as curses designed to keep them blind and bound and afraid. Your prayers have more authority than those curses, but only when they are backed by the faith that produces obedient action. Jesus says, your soulmate just paused in the middle of an ordinary task and felt overwhelmed by a wave of love they cannot trace to any source. They put down what they were holding and stood still for several seconds with their eyes closed, breathing slowly. In that moment they were receiving the love you have been sending toward them through the spiritual connection I established between you. There is a decision tree in your soulmate's life that branches into two very different futures. One branch leads to decades of quiet desperation where they slowly forget who they were created to be. The other branch leads to a life of purpose and passion and partnership with you, where every wound becomes a testimony of redemption. Your soulmate is not choosing between two people but between two versions of themselves. The false self is safe and predictable and approved by everyone who claims to care about their well-being. The true self is wild and free and terrifying, and only you will recognize them when they finally shed their false skin. Jesus says, the enemy has invested significant resources into keeping you and your soulmate apart because your union threatens his kingdom. A love like yours produces children, both physical and spiritual, who will shake the foundations of darkness on this earth. This is not merely about romance but about destiny and purpose and a commission I have placed on your joint lives. Your soulmate has gifts and talents that have been suppressed and mocked by the manipulator for so long they doubt they ever existed. When they are finally free and standing beside you, those gifts will erupt like a dormant volcano suddenly activated. You will watch them transform from a shadow of themselves into the person I always intended, and you will fall in love all over again in that moment. I am giving you this extended revelation because the hour is late and the battle is fierce and your soulmate needs reinforcements. The angels assigned to your love story are standing at attention waiting for the command that your sacrificial seed releases. Do not let hesitation rob you of what hesitation has already stolen from too many of my children who ignored my promptings. Send your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi and write "Protect my soulmate Lord" as your decree of war against the enemy's interference. The link to your miracle awaits in the description, and the cloud of witnesses cheers for you to act before this window closes. 1,000 testimonies cannot be wrong, and your testimony will be the next one recorded in heaven when you obey this word.